Hello and welcome back to the second half of our structural REVIT training within our REVIT Building 8. So we're going to talk about a couple more things continuing here. A little bit more about footings, some continuous footings, how we can move joists from within our beam systems, a couple of things about display and visibility of our structural components in the various views, and then how we can apply view templates. So a couple of more things we'll talk about here. So I'm just going to switch over to my REVIT, and I'm looking at my underside of foundation wall plan right now. So that's what we've got so far basically, and again there's our different beam systems that we have, and you can see it highlights it in green. You can go in and edit, and I pulled those over, and I could probably make those joists deeper. So just to finish that off, maybe I'm going to go in here and I'm going to click here and click here, and then I'll delete those, and I can go back to say my second floor level and zoom out, and now I can go in and maybe put another beam system in there. I'm going to go to beam system, and then I'm going to say select, and I'm going to click on here, 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 and here, and then I'm going to go in and use my trim again. This time I've taken out those beams. Okay, and again you can go in and use your align command here to align these objects. I'm not too concerned with where they are, spending the time to do that. Of course, this is where the spacing is. If I want to set the span, I go over here to reset structural beam system and set working plane structural beam system. So I can click on there. And beam direction edge is what I'm talking about here. If I click over here, that will be the span of my joist system. So I'm going to go back and click on there to make sure they're spanning that way. I can also go in and say pick supports, and I can work my way around, and you can see I'm hovering. When it finds a beam, it can also form your beam system that way. So there's many ways. All you really need is to make sure you have a closed loop, and then it'll work. And then of course we always go in and pick our spacing and our elevation off of here, and we know this should be 100 millimeters number of lines. Well, this time we might say no, we want an actual spacing, so we're going to say fixed distance of 2 meters is a bit much. Let's go 1800. And justification center, and we don't want to use a wide flange, we want to use deepest joist we have, and then we can hit OK, and we can say finish sketch. It's going to put those joists in there for us. Now we're going to look down here next on this button down in here, which turns on the display. So that little bit different. Now once you get inside there and you place these joists, you can go in and pick on a joist if you want, and if you hit the pin, you can actually take this object now and you can move it and relocate it, and then you can click back out, and it's still part of that beam system. Okay, so you can go and move joists after the fact by clicking on it, clicking on here, taking this number, changing the number. Okay, so I'm going to hit escape a couple of times on there. So as far as display goes, right now we're seeing the top flanges of the joist, and we're seeing the beams below. So if we were to change, sometimes you want to say change to coarse detail. Coarse detail shows you just more of a schematic type plan of your structural components, and then you can also control the depth and whether you want to see these columns or the beams as well. So we have the coarse, fine, and medium detail that we can play with inside of there. That will help us view it, and that also works in elevation as well. If we go into elevation, we're seeing the detail there, but if we go to here and we say coarse detail, we're going to see more of a schematic type situation. Okay, so I like to work in the medium detail. We can see what's going on in there. So let's go back to our 3D view. So now what I want to do, I've got that new beam system inside of there. Now what I want to do is I want to take this wall and maybe step this down or split this wall. So I'm going to take this and delete these footing pads right inside of here, and I'm going to use my split command, and I'm just going to split the wall, for instance, here, and then maybe I'll split this wall over here at this location. Okay, so I've got that. Now I can take this wall, for instance. I'm going to actually put some more splits in. I'm going to put another split here and then another split there. So now what I want to do is maybe put a strip footing in, and I could probably maybe do this whole side just as a demonstration. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to take these walls here. I'm going to take this wall and I'm going to take this wall and I'm going to check the properties of it, and I'm going to say it's lower. It's going to start from this point and go up to the first floor. So those walls are going to go down a little bit. Okay, and then this wall and this wall is going to do the same type of thing, but even maybe go a bit lower. Now that's a bit drastic. There would be a bit of a shear there, but and then I could go into the properties and I could say same type of thing. It could go here and then have an offset of even, you know, minus 300 below that, and hit that. So my foundation wall is kind of coming down, and now I can go in here and say continuous footing, and if I click on the wall, the footings will automatically get placed in there for me. Okay, so there's no real fancy way of getting a slope footing. There is probably a way of building a family or editing the profile of that wall by going in here and picking edit profile, maybe dragging that down and reshaping that to get that footing to follow it. Okay, so we'll let you go in, and when we get to walls we'll show you how to edit that profile, and all I have to do now is maybe add some more line work into there. So we'll just quit that sketch for now. We'll come back to editing wall profiles in a different lesson, so I don't need to save that. Get out. So basically you're clicking on and you're going in and hitting continuous footing, and then all you have to do is grab a wall. So I'm going to use my shift middle mouse button and swivel around here. I could do the same type of thing by going in back and here at any point and saying continuous footing, and then just put a footing on there if I wanted. I could blend materials by going in here and saying attach, you know, these objects. Okay, and then they'll start to blend into each other, this and this. Okay, you can see the difference between these two. As soon as I take this and actually attach the objects, join geometry between here and here, you'll see it'll clean itself up there for us, which is nice. So we can use a combination of strip footings and footing pads. So that's a little bit on foundations and trying to get a step footing in there. And so let's have maybe a look at our model here in 3D and see how it's shaping up. It's not too bad. Maybe have a look at the south view. Now what I can do is maybe I want to start to copy some of this stuff up to other levels. So what I can do now is I can just do a window around here, and it'll grab everything throughout that area really with a crossing box, and I'm going to do my good old edit copy to clipboard. Okay, then I'm going to go edit and I'm going to say paste aligned. I want to select my levels by name, and you can see that this is level 1 right here. This is level 2. So I'm copying all of this. I want to copy it up to level 2 and up to level 3, meaning I'll let off there. So level 2 and level 3. Hit OK, and it's going to copy those objects up for me. Has to think about it a little bit. And updates all the model and everything if there was cross sections and details. So I can click on here. I can go look at that in 3D perhaps, and now I'm starting to get a bit of a model, and now maybe I can take some stuff away. If I don't need it, I can easily click on here and delete this stuff without a problem. Well, that's okay. A little warning there. Delete that. Notice you can delete the whole beam system. Okay. So in and out, and I could actually go to my south view. Might make that a little bit easier. And say okay, you know, delete these objects however I please. Back to my 3D view. Add some new components in there. Okay. And maybe put a floor system in there. So now maybe we do want to put a slab or something on the top. So we can go up to our level 4 here, and I can go in and I'm just going to go in and say slab. Plane that cannot be used. Oh, okay, fair enough. Okay, so I'm getting an error on my slab tool there, something about being on the wrong work plane. So I'm going to make sure I'm on the right work plane by going into Tools and picking Work Plane here as the error gave me, and I'm going to say Set Work Plane, and I'm going to make sure I'm on not grid 4. Now notice when you set work planes, all of your grid lines are work planes, as well as all your levels or any reference plane that you've named. So I'm going to make sure level 4 is where I want to be and hit OK. Now I'm going to go back to my slab command, and I removed this area over here, so on the 4th floor my slab is only here, so I'm going to say OK, no problem. I need to just sketch. I'm in sketch mode when you see these red lines here, or red indicators, icons, and all I'm going to do is everything gets grayed out, and I'm going to sketch some lines on there. I could use my align command as well, zoom in and fix that up a little bit better by going in and doing my align this to this, and then lock it, of course. Go in, align this to this, work my way around. The rest of it looks good. Okay, I'm putting a slab in. I want to check my slab properties, my floor properties. If I don't see one that's in here that I want to use, then I go into Edit and I do a duplicate. I give it a new name, okay, and then hit OK. And then you would go into Edit, and then you can go in here and you can change the width and thickness of it, and you can change the material by clicking inside of here and adding materials, and that's covered a little more in our floor lessons. Okay, so if you don't have the type of 125, duplicate any one and then go in and hit the structure button and then just add your component in there. So I'm going to have that. It's on level 4, and offset off of level 4. Well, my slab is 125 thick and the joist is 100, so I'm going to make that be 225 as the elevation in millimeters above the 4th floor. And that's about all I need to do, and I hit OK, and then I finish my sketch. Puts that slab on there for me, and I can look at my 3D view, maybe zoom in here, have a little closer look. And we can see there's a slab that I placed. Okay, and we can have a little closer look at those connections in there as well. So there's an example of a slab. Same thing I could do is by going to my level 3. Maybe I want a slab on the whole thing. I go in here and I do slab, and then I'm going to do lines. I can also go pick points, and I can just, you know, use this for my geometry, and then use my trim and my fillet, trim these guys because I need a closed loop, and check my properties. I think it's probably back to the same as the other one. Level 3 looks good. Finish sketch, puts my slab in. Look at my 3D. Now maybe I want to punch some holes in there. I can go back to my 3rd floor. I can hover over, grab that, hit Edit, and now all I really have to do is I just have to go to my lines, and any donut hole I make inside of here, maybe I want to, you know, make an opening for a mechanical unit or something in there, and then finish the sketch. Okay, now I go back to my 3D view, and well, it wasn't in a very good location. Using my Shift middle mouse button, you can see there's the hole that I made through those joists. Okay, we can go back to our 3rd floor now, no problem, and we can go into our basics and we can say, okay, well, give me a section through here, and in fact I want my indicator on that side, not on this side. Double click on it, goes into that section. Go down here, change it to be fine detail. I'm going to go in and have a look at how that is. Okay, maybe I don't want my slab to overhang, or however I want to do. I can click on that slab here and I can say edit, and it'll say, well, you want to edit that in what level? I want to edit in the 3rd floor. I'm back inside here. I can grab that, I can pull it over, finish my sketch, changes the size of that opening. Okay, so that's a little bit on floor systems and slabs. Just check your elevations, check your numbers, and same rules as with everything else. Okay, and another interesting thing you can do with your sections in your 3D window is kind of nice for details, is you can grab this. For instance, let's just say I bring this in, I slide this section in, so it's just doing a small section inside of there. That section is actually called section 1. That's this section right in here. If I rename this, it'll go there. So if I go to that section, there's that cross section right there. But if I actually go now that I've made this section, it doesn't matter really where I'm at. I could be over here, and then I switch to my 3D view. So I've made the section, I'm in a 3D view. Once I'm in the 3D view, I can go here and I can go view, and I can say orient, and I can say to other view, and if I pick section 1, hit OK, all of a sudden it looks like I'm back into that 2D section 1, but now I can shift and I can actually rotate around here. Okay, and I can click on this and I can grab these grips and I can slide them in. Okay, if I want to zoom in on any specific detail, however I move these objects, I can take that and then I can zoom in, and then I can shift and I can have a look at some of those connection details and stuff. So the structural guys are really liking this. They can get in and check out all their details. Okay, so it's a little more than what the architectural people might want to see. But and again, I can say SD for shaded view. Shift middle mouse button again. This is where we can get in and start adding some clip angles and stuff like that. But it's kind of nice, and you can see I can see my joists are actually sitting a little bit off my beam there. Not a big deal. Okay, so you might have to do a rewind to see how I did that one, and then back to view, orient, and then to southwest, however I want. And another way we can, again, when you're in this 3D view, another way you can use that orient tool is if we go up here and go view, orient, and let's say I only want to see the second or the third floor, maybe the first floor, I can go in and pick a level and hit OK, and then it'll go to that level with that orient tool. But now when I use my shift and middle mouse button, it's only showing me what's being shown up to that level. Okay, so once we're inside of there, the scope box is really what's doing it. So I need to grab this box inside of here to get my full model back, and I can click and drag that up, and then I can just grab my grips and move that out to wherever I want, back to my model, and then shift click. So that was the view, orient, and then you can go pick a view, and then after that it's a matter of grabbing these grips on this section box is what this is. If you right click and you go into view properties, you can see this down in here. The section box is turned on. If I turn that off, I won't see any section box at all. Okay, right click, view properties. I'll do that again from up here. Right click, view properties, and there it is there. Section box, turn it back on, hit OK. There's that back again. And so now we want to try putting some bracing in, and the first thing we have to make sure when we do our bracing is that we have the steel angle or the components that we want to use, and as well we have to make sure we set our work plane. So what we're going to do is start by going up here right now and saying Tools, Work Plane. This is my grid line 4 over here, and I'm going to say Set Work Plane, and I'm going to grid 4, it's already there. I could switch it, but you can see highlights it in the red there. So that's, I'm now on grid line 4 for work plane, and I'm going to go click on brace, and I'm going to see what I have. I've got a steel angle in there, 150 by 150, but that I want a smaller angle, so I'm going to pick load and go down to structural where we normally would go, and then from there framing, and then steel, and then I'm just going to kind of scroll down here till I find steel angle. There's one there. And then I'm going to go down to the smaller steel angle sizes, shift click, bring those in, and then once those load in, I can go back and I can now pick one of those 2-inch brace angles, and then all I have to do now, and it will snap to those points as I draw those angle bracing in. So off we go, doing our lateral bracing in there. And let's have a look at our east view here. Okay, schematic. Now again, if I change that to say fine detail. See a difference? So I might want to click on this little guy and bring that over to here maybe. So fix up that simply by clicking and using your grips. You can lengthen it by here, or you can grip it down into here. Well, cancel that one out. Looks like it jumped somewhere else. So place those braces inside of there. Back to our 3D view. Put those in. And on another note with regards to visibility, I'm just going to maybe switch back to a floor plan here. Now remembering that we have our course levels over here, but we can also go in here, we can say view, and we can say apply view template. Because certain things are turned on and off, be it architectural or structural, different things want to be shown. So we can go into apply view template here, and inside of here you can say architectural presentation elevation, architectural plan, hit apply and hit OK, and then architectural plan is going to show the joists and supports as just single lines. We go back to here, view, apply view template, and we go back to be structural framing plan and hit apply and hit OK, and then it'll look different from there, and then from there we might have to go in and reset this as well. So when we go into view and we go into visibility graphics and we make changes inside of here, if we look at this in one aspect being our structural, certain things will be on and off, and then if we go back and we say view, apply view template and pick an architectural one, then we'll notice it resets things that are in our visibility graphics. So we also have a structural analysis, one that will be coming with the structural REVIT specific program, where you can start adding loads and doing good stuff like that. And that concludes our part 2 of our REVIT, the structural tools in REVIT Building 8. Just a couple last notes. Remember when you go in and you're drawing beams to have a look up here and check your elevations and usage and whether you want to use a grid system or not, whether you want to load it or chain. So you can put in beams in various ways, but you should be checking that the plane you're working on in here, and using grid option you can then pick the grids and it will jump over columns. If there is columns at the grid intersections and you use the grid option to make beams, they will realize that there is, for instance, a column there, and the beams will stop and start short, and then you can click on these and play with your grips and then add your clip angles onto there. So just keep an eye out for when you're placing your beams and braces and beam systems. Always have a look up here and have a look at what your options are, whether you want to trace it or whether you want to pick objects that are existing geometry over there.